Hey friends, welcome to Chi Alpha. Hey, just wanted to let you know that we have fall retreat coming up. I'm super excited to be able to spend a whole day together as a community. We're going to be socially distanced as much as humanly possible. Bring your masks. We're going to be out at Assembly Park Camp, and it's going to be on October 10th. The cost is $20. Legitimately, that is the cost just to cover a lunch and a dinner. So, and if money is an issue, please talk to your small group leader. We want everybody to be able to come and hang out and be out there dressed warm. We're going to be outside a lot. There's a lake. It's going to be great. So come join us at Fall Retreat, October 10th. Take off the day. It's going to be fantastic. All right, so jumping in. Our opener today is to tell about a time where you felt embarrassed. For me, it's been a super recent experience. My husband decided that I should try to learn to drive his car, which doesn't sound that difficult, but he has a manual and I don't know how to drive a stick. And so we legitimately drove like just a couple of miles away from church here in Superior. And no joke, we were sitting at a stop sign and I made our car stall like multiple times and I was waving people to go around me because I kept like not being able to actually get the car to go, and I felt so embarrassed. I just really don't like feeling like I'm failing or like I don't know what I'm doing and then having people watch me learn as it's happening. And so yeah, I was just super embarrassed trying to be able to drive a stick. So that's my embarrassing story. Woohoo, Kaylin gets embarrassed. It's great. All right, so today to jump in, we're going to be looking at John 3, 1 through 21. And just to kind of give you a heads up, this section of verses that we're about to read is a little bit heavier, a little bit more heady, takes a lot of brain power to really wrap your mind around. So if you're feeling a little bit lost or like it takes you a couple of times to get it in your head what's going on, don't feel bad. I think that this one is a little bit more difficult to comprehend. So in this story, Jesus is meeting with a man named Nicodemus. I remember Nicodemus's name like this. Nicodemus. There you go. Now you'll remember his name forever. Or you'll just sing the Nickelodeon theme song. Whichever. Okay, so Nicodemus is a Pharisee, which means that he is a Jewish religious teacher. So kind of like today's pastor or like a teacher in a religious school, something along those lines. And he also is on the Jewish council, which means that he also had a political position within the nation. So this guy is both super learned and also like politically important. He's high up there. He knows what's up. And he comes because Jesus is causing enough of a disturbance in the force.
Are you alright? What's wrong?
I felt a great disturbance in the force.
Or, you know, in the social religious realm, with his teaching and also his miracles, that the council hears about Jesus. And so Nicodemus goes to investigate. And so he wants to know if Jesus is from God. And then Jesus begins to answer Nicodemus's question of like, is your teaching, are these miracles from God? And then Jesus starts to talk about birth. And so he starts using this earthly thing, which is like human birth, to talk about a spiritual thing, which is being spiritually reborn. And when he talks about water, within this, he's talking about physical birth. And when he's talking about wind, he's talking about spiritual birth or rebirth.
This is my hair wet a little bit, but not wet at all. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when it's wet. This is my hair wet.
So that's just something that's helpful as you begin to read this. Recognize like sometimes when he says birth, he's talking about physical birth. Sometimes he's talking about spiritual birth. And then there's also a story in here that Jesus is going to reference about a guy named Moses. And Moses is from way back in Jewish history. Think freeing the Hebrew slaves from Egypt. And that like classic parting of the Red Sea, that's Moses, that's this guy. And that happens way back in history for this nation. And there's another time in this story where the slaves, after they're freed, where they're traveling in the desert, and the people get mad at God and at Moses for rescuing them. So God sends a bunch, okay, this is where the story gets crazy, sends a bunch of venomous snakes, and people start getting bit by those snakes and dying.
Snake. I'm a snake. I'm a snake. I'm a slithery little sneaky snake. I'm so slithery and sneaky because I'm a snake.
Okay, I would be dying. I think I would be dying like if I saw a venomous snake. I really, really, really hate snakes. But the only way where the people who are getting bit by these snakes are saved is this weird thing that God tells Moses to do, which is to make a bronze statue of a snake and stick it on a pole in the air. And when someone gets bit, if they look at that bronze snake, then they wouldn't die. Okay, super weird. I know that story is crazy, but the reason that Jesus references this snake story is to foreshadow his death on the cross, where he's going to be lifted up just like that snake, and anybody who looks on him and believes will be saved. And part of that is understanding that Nicodemus totally gets that reference. Jesus says a sentence about that story. And Nicodemus would know that story as a teacher of the law. But for us, we don't happen to know the story about the snakes and these people dying. But to understand, that's what Jesus is referencing here. The other historical thing that I think for us is sometimes just hard to grasp is this idea that for Nicodemus and just the people of Israel, they have this expectation of a savior who's going to come and who's going to reestablish the Jewish nation and bring glory back to their nation. So they're looking for that. They're expecting that. So when Jesus starts to talk about God sending his son to save people, that totally fits in with what those people are anticipating happening. So just another frame of reference for the original audience that we don't necessarily have. So again, Nicodemus, he knows all of this stuff, and yet what we're about to read confuses poor Nick. So as we're going through this, if it's taking a little bit more brain power, just know you're in good company. Even Nicodemus doesn't get it all. So just recognize it's kind of just a difficult thing for us to comprehend the things that we're going to talk about. And so I hope you guys have a great small group, and I will see you next week and at Fall Retreat.